when I talk about heartbreak, I'm not talking about the Mills and Boons kind of love heartbreak necessarily. That has its place. But I'm talking more about the heartbreak that we experience maybe as a child when one of our parents or siblings or schoolmates said something really awful about us or to us or hurt us in some way that we took in as a child or an adult and let that kind of seep into who we are. And the whole thing about that is that to acknowledge that as a heartbreak for me has always been about, oh, but other people suffer real heartbreak, they lose, you know, children and all of this. Because it's so trivial, I won't acknowledge that it actually hurt and caused me such pain. But actually what it does, when we let that seep into our soul, it actually changes our perception of our lives. And inevitably, our perception and our relationship with God. And I think once I began to understand that things that I'd internalized actually shaped the life I was living, it really helped me see that there are ways that I can heal. There are ways that my heart can be mended, because your heart can break. There's no doubt about that. Any particular heartbreak we may have carried with us for years or even a week, we're actually going to bring it out to the light of day, acknowledge it and work with it to heal her. Because what Lorna read out, I beg your pardon, is so important that whatever happens is good. There's good in it. It really is true. Even when we look at things that break our hearts on the world stage, when it's beyond our understanding, these things can happen. There is good in that for us, you know, and eventually good for what we perceive as the victims of that event. Because when we experience good, we pass the good on. There's no doubt about it, really. So let's just begin with a little prayer as we become open and receptive to all that may come up, if anything. I mean, it may be that you've never had your heart broken. It may be that you've never taken or internalised anything. Good. I'm so glad for you. But that wasn't my experience. So just in the quiet, let us affirm that we cannot be where God is not. God is in the darkness and the light, in the peace and in the conflict, in the heartbreak and in the reconciliation. So what is the heart? The Hebrews thought that the heart was the centre of the being, the very essence of who you are. With the heart we feel, perceive and make moral choices. And some say it is also from the heart that we seek and respond to God. A broken heart can mean that we are broken or damaged on the inside. It refers to our wounded emotions, which does distort the way we perceive things and the choices we make. A broken and wounded heart will affect the way that we see and respond to God. Because the unseen wounds of our inner beings are just as real as any physical wounds, and they may be treated and healed. But for some misguided reason, we hang on to heartbreak. And that's been my experience. And that's mostly for me, this is just about me, because I've been scared to sit with the fear of what that heartbreak has meant. I will relate an incident to you which will explain what I mean by that. So what do we think our heartbreak is? Is it that our needs are not met as children, whatever that need might be? Is it that our paths have been thwarted, careers or love or college, or somebody stamped on us, repressed us? Can that bring us to heartbreak? And we all know that one of the greatest recipes for heartbreak is, if you love me, you would do that. If you love me, you would give me that. And love becomes a bartering tool, whether it's our mums, our dads, our sisters. You know, this is not just about romantic love. But these feelings of heartbreak become our identity. About 40 odd years ago, how old am I now? 61. When I was 17, I was pregnant. Now, I didn't know how I got pregnant, believe it or not. I come from a family of 10 brothers and sisters, and my mum and dad never spoke about sex. So when I was 16, I met this gorgeous man from Dublin whom I loved, I thought, with all my heart, my first great love. And I didn't know that, I mean, I knew sex had something to do with a man's penis. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't that naive, but I didn't know the process by which it happened. So there I was, 17, a child and pregnant. And that coloured my life for many, many years. You know, that's, my default position was to be that actually no one liked me really. It was all, you know, just, I was there for them to use. And it coloured everything. And I never looked at it. I never sat with that awful feeling until recently. You know, but when I looked back and saw how it had coloured everything, how my perception of my life had been different, how my relationship with my daughter had been carved out by that. It was heartbreak, and not just for me, for her too, you know. And it reminded me recently how much that was still in me, because I look after 3 little children 1 day a week. It's my new career. And we won't go down there. Anyway, the little girl, Angelique, was 4. So her parents invited me and Steve, they're our next door neighbours, to a little party on the Sunday night of her birthday. It was a very intimate party, just a few people. And it was lovely, and we celebrated with da-da-da. A few weeks later, she had a great big party at school, and they didn't tell me. So I only knew about it because I saw them coming in, and I opened my door. I said, hello, where have you been? Oh, we've been to Angelique's party. And back I was, 17 again, being rejected. Why didn't they tell me? I look after them. You see, they don't really care. I'm no good. They don't think I'm any good looking after their kids. They don't want me to mix with their families. All of this, and I came in and Steve was in, and he'll tell you, didn't I, Steve? I don't understand. Why didn't they just tell me? Did they think I was going to party crash or... And I allowed myself to feel enraged for about 10 minutes, and I thought, hang on, this is none of my business. I don't actually have to understand anything about it. It's their child, they do what they do. You know, I was at the privilege of going to this intimate little birthday celebration with her, and this was for her schoolmates. So I turned it completely around, you know, because you know that way when you sit and think, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to say this. And, you know, I had none of that, none of it. So I was able to go there the following day, because I was babysitting the following day, completely free of any feelings of inadequacy or they don't like me, and just with myself, because I'd worked on that feeling of heartbreak before. So I knew what it was coming up. You know, I recognised it. So just in the quiet, let us affirm that we cannot be where God is not. God is in the darkness and the light, in the peace and in the conflict, in the heartbreak and in the reconciliation.